This week on the potty, we talk about Alexander the GOAT Volkanovski. We discuss some of the worst signings in NRL history and take a look at the Dolphins team for next year. It sucks. I tell you what doesn't suck, the B-Team podcast, baby. Let's go. This podcast is brought to you by no one. If you want to sponsor one of the top 50 rugby league podcasts in Australia, make sure to hit us up on Instagram.
The climate.
The B-Team podcast. Bernard, let's go. Episode 16.
Hey, we're getting up there. The reserves. We're here to talk everything footy.
It's a big footy week, as it always is. Lots of UFC, bit of American sports.
Bit of rugby.
And there's something, we're giving rugby some love. It needs a bit of love.
International rugby, that is.
Straight off the bat, Bernard, we've just taken a look. Yeah, international rugby, not club rugby.
Yeah.
Teams are out for Origin.
Game 3, big decider. Suncorp.
This is it. Doesn't get any bigger.
It doesn't.
Felice Kafusi's out. Tom Gilbert's in. I think that's pretty, fair enough. Big one. No Payne Haas.
Yeah, injury.
In comes Jordan McLean.
So they've opted to go with no RCG.
No RCG. Now, McLean's been in the reserves. Like I think he's
been he was like
19th or 20th
man,
man, something like that. So he's been around the system a little bit. What are your thoughts on that? I don't mind. McLean's been playing very well for the Cowboys.
McLean's a solid front rower.
He's going to do his job.
He's exactly right. And I just think they want someone that's hungry in there that's going to prove themselves as opposed to, RCG, who was probably a bit lackluster in the first game. But I think it's going to be a New South Wales win just by sides alone. I think Felice Kafusi out is a bigger loss than people think just from experience and just combination with Munster.
What do you think about Whiten? You surprised? 18th man.
That Whiten wasn't picked.
Yeah.
Only because he was our best player out in game one. And if I had to choose between him and Stephen Crichton playing,
I would have picked
Whiten.
Yeah. Because you couldn't have dropped
Matt Burton after game 2.
No way.
Yeah, he was one of our best. Could have well got man of the match. So, and his kicking game is up there causing trouble for
He's a
Origin
5'8",
Origin wingers and Kalen Ponga. So, I don't know. I think just based sides on paper, they've kept Taylor Kai off the bench. I could have even thought maybe made way for Whiten on the bench because if a second rower goes down a centre,
you can't
5'8" goes down.
You can't only have two forwards.
But, I mean, exactly right. They've already got that, Cook on the bench. So Taylor Kai's going to get another gig. Maybe he gets more than 20 minutes this game. But yeah, it looks like I think we both agree New South Wales are going to get this W. At Suncorp is the only reason why I'm saying
that's the only
it's tough.
Yeah. It's going to be New South Wales 1 to 12. I was going to say 1 to 6, but I'm going to go 1 to 12.
Yeah.
A couple of fan questions are coming. We haven't done this in a while, Bernard. This one was from someone on TikTok. I didn't get his username, so if you're listening, this was a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the next immortal if you had to pick? JT or Cooper Cronk?
Ooh. I got to go with JT. I think it just based on how he's viewed in the game as one of the best 5'8" of all time. He was doing it well before Cooper Cronk was doing it for Queensland. He's got the accolades of premierships as well. Probably not as many as Cronk, but he just goes down as one of the greatest.
I'd be keen to know people's opinions on this, but I'm going to go Cooper Cronk. I know we all love JT, but Cronk's career gets slept on. It speaks for itself. All the accolades for Queensland. He wins with Melbourne. Now, of course, you go, anyone could win in Melbourne. Going over to the Roosters and going back to back,
that's
just
huge.
Cements GOAT status for me.
And he's an immortal. I agree with you. He's an immortal, but I think JT goes in before him. I don't know if it's based on playing careers that JT did it earlier, but you got to think who was playing 14 when JT was starting for Queensland.
One thing I will say, Queensland win however many they won straight. The 1 year New South Wales broke the streak was when Cooper Cronk got injured in game 1, was out for the rest of the series. Very influential.
Very good
Slept
point.
Slept on.
I
Give
think
him his immortal status.
But their games are different.
They are.
I mean, JT had a bit more of a running game with him.
Yeah, he did.
Cronk was a
Just
distributor, very organised.
But he knew how to find the try line, especially in
he
Origin.
did. No, he did.
Cronk knew how to get over for one.
And if you wanted a field goal, you're going to Cooper Cronk.
Always. I had ice in his veins. Two greats. If either of them were the next immortal, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cameron Smith probably deserves to go ahead of both of them.
Yeah.
But then if you said either, they're all going to be immortals one day. We're blessed. We're blessed to have witnessed that era.
Get a good Hall of Fame ceremony going.
Do what they did. UFC did it. I
Yeah.
like it. It was good. They go up there, they have a speech.
Yeah. Well, NBA do it, NFL do it.
Everyone does it. You do it before the Dally M's. Make it a bit more of a thing.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good one. Next question.
NRL Hall of Fame.
This one is from Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Great question, Alex. Is Luke Brooks even a top 10 half at the moment?
At the moment, mate, You could already name me a top 5 halves. And if you just go based on the ladder, the halves that are currently, in the top 8 right now.
Yeah.
Like, I put Ben Hunt ahead of him at the moment. You know what I mean?
Ben Hunt's knocking on the door of top 5.
You put Cherry Evans, you put Cleary, you put, I'm saying your standard top 5 halves. Jerome Hughes. You know what I mean?
I'd put Sam Walker ahead of him. I put Mitchell Moses ahead of him. You're right. Then we go, okay, Lockie Ilias you wouldn't, but who else do we have?
Canberra's half. Does Fogarty go ahead of him?
I would.
You know what I mean? I think
even though he hasn't played much.
That's
for
what
Canberra.
I mean. I think
Cherry
he's on
definitely
par
does.
with the halves that are from 8 to 10. He could fit anywhere, maybe 10 plus.
He might just be outside. And I don't want to bash Luke Brooks because it's so easy to, but he might just be.
Well, Andrew Johns has come out and said, he needs to be revitalised at a new club.
Yeah.
The best thing for him is to be moved on, because what I would say is if Luke Brooks is playing at Melbourne, is he one of the better 7s in the comp?
I think he definitely
probably. I'm saying as an overall player, he could be a top 10 half. There's not many good halves in the game.
If I'm Luke Brooks' agent, I'm saying, Luke, I know you're going to get 1.2. Take a pay cut, go to a good team, and try and save your NRL
overall,
career.
I like his game better than Sean Johnson. You know what I mean? I think Sean Johnson he doesn't live up to the hype.
Sean Johnson, one of the most overrated NRL players at the moment.
Mate.
Hasn't been good for a long time and gets compared, when you talk about the greatest Kiwis ever, he gets compared to Benji Marshall. Respectfully, Sean, you're nowhere near that level of greatness.
Just because of lack of consistency.
Not
he
consistent
he can go on a good run of a season and play well in the nines, and everyone gets
excited.
excited.
People could say that Benji had that period. Remember, he was at the Dragons, and he disappeared for a bit. But then towards the end of his career, when he went back to the Tigers, he was very
great
consistent.
Facilitator at Souths too. Played in the grand final.
Was great off the bench. I feel like Sean Johnson
lacks a consistency.
He's also struggling as he's getting older, whereas Benji adapted his game and Sean hasn't. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, done. Okay, moving on now to our podium.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we give gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal, and our participation. I'm just taking a look at it now. It's a very UFC heavy podium, which I love. Bernard, kick it off.
It was a big UFC event, so my bronze is going to the crowd that turned out at the UFC. It was the who's who, really, of
stars
Hollywood
everywhere.
Stars. You had Mel Gibson, Chris Pratt, Shaq, Miles Teller in the crowd, Vince McMahon, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Pat McAfee was in the crowd.
Do you reckon, Israel Adesanya did the Undertaker walkout. Do you reckon they had to ask Vince for permission?
Yeah, they get permission. Yeah, they're WWE owned songs. They got to get the copyright permission to play that.
Do you reckon
Shawn
maybe it was
Michaels came out, was played on the undercard as well?
Yeah. Do you think maybe that they did a little deal? Hey, we'll give you ringside seats.
I don't know. I just think, going off that, the stars being there, UFC is now a premier event. It's like the boxing in the 90s and the 2000s. These are the events that you want to go to.
Now, it's wrestling in the late 90s and early 2000s. The way they do pay-per-views, it is, as you said, the who's who are there now. It's the biggest combat sports company.
Tune in, and when you got people like Volkanovski putting on shows, and I know Adesanya, there was a bit of... they said it was a lackluster championship fight. But when you got fights like, Volkanovski putting in, like, just going toe-to-toe, or even, Sean and Sean O'Malley just going toe-to-toe. They're good watchers.
On Israel Adesanya, like a good winger, I'm just going to take that and scoot with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Alex Pereira, who looks like he's going to be his next opponent. Put Sean Strickland to sleep.
I thought that was an upset.
It was an upset. Knocked his head into another dimension, Bernard. We're talking about a different level of striking. Sean Strickland, he talked the talk. It was very entertaining in the press conference, but he came out and said, I found this so funny.
I love that back and forth between
That was good, man. And Adesanya was getting cut.
He didn't take a backward step.
He was getting cut. But what I found so funny was that he was saying that Glory Kickboxing, which is a promotion that Alex Pereira fought on. He said, I'll stand and bang with any of these Glory kickboxers. I don't know what his game plan was, man, because he just stood in front of a guy who is levels above. Like, you get to the UFC, everyone's the elite of the elite, but that level of striking, Bernard, we're talking about the greatest.
Well, I think that's the next matchup for Adesanya.
Yeah, it has to be. And Adesanya needs it because he's a little bit like Anderson Silva. Not in terms of GOAT status, but Anderson was a bit like that. He could just coast because he's so much better. Like, the only two fights since he's become champion that we've really seen him put a clinic on was when he fought Paulo Costa and when he won the belt off Whittaker.
But I don't blame him for not wanting to go toe-to-toe and and put people to sleep early. If you can win fights,
He just cruises.
if you can win fights by keeping your range, and yes, it's a snooze fest, but you're winning. You're the champion. I know Dana doesn't like that because he's had fallouts in the past with fighters like Woodley who didn't want to go toe to toe and just wanted to get the
I think
W's
he's
in
a
the
little
fights.
bit different to Woodley. Woodley was very tentative when he fought. I think
Yeah.
Adesanya just cruises. He knows he's miles better. And then fighters go in there and they're a little bit scared to strike with him, so he just picks them apart. But it is a bit boring. And I think the UFC expected a bit more from him. I think they thought, with his charisma, the way he puts on a show, that he would be the next pay-per-view star like McGregor, and he hasn't really worked out like that. So he needs to be pushed. Alex Pereira is the man to do him. He's beaten him twice. That's going to be a mad fight.
Silver medal for me is our boy, Australia's own Nick Kyrgios,
The man
holding it down in the third round against Tsitsipas.
took the piss out of him.
Look, I thought it was going to be a 5-setter, and this was going to be
Yeah.
a grind of a game. I stayed up and watched it. It didn't start till about 2:30 in the morning. I had a big bet on. I thought it was going to go 5 sets. I took Tsitsipas plus 1.5. Mistake. Don't bet against Nick Kyrgios.
You never do.
You don't know what you're going to get. He could go a 5-setter against a no-name
Just
in the
depends
first
how
round.
he's feeling.
Or if he just wants to, maybe he's just coming off a FIFA bender, we don't know. But if he wants to, he could just take Tsitsipas and just say, sorry, kid, you're not made like me.
He just
You know what I
scored
mean? And there was a lot of back and forth in
Loved
that
it.
game and some umpire blow-ups. But, mate, I thought Nick Kyrgios was doing us Aussies proud. I think he's going to cruise past his next opponent in the fourth. And it's, who knows?
Yeah,
Could
just a
could
little-
this be
yeah,
his...
we filmed this before his fourth round match, so if he's lost, disregard everything. But we're backing him.
I
He's gonna
back
win.
him. I back
He's
him.
winning.
I'm going to take him.
Is he the most hated athlete in Australian? Like, even when he won, I was watching a bit of Love Island. Great show. And it was the ad for the news. Coming up tonight, the main headline wasn't that Nick Kyrgios just upset the 4 seed. It was the shocking accusation against Nick Kyrgios. Like, they can't even just let him win. There's always just got to be a narrative against him. And, man, rules are rules. Tsitsipas hits a ball into a crowd. It hits someone. Novak got disqualified for that. If Nick Kyrgios does that, he gets disqualified.
I agree.
He had every reason to blow up.
and he was blowing up at the umpire, asked for the supervisors to come out, and he said, mate, if Nick Kyrgios had done that, if he hit
he
a
gets
ball into the
disqualified.
crowd and he was a bit agitated, they'd disqualify him on the spot because it's Nick Kyrgios.
Yep.
But because someone else does it, it's like they pick and choose, and they probably should
But
have
then
had him
there
on
was-
main court
you
as
saw
well.
there was a few winners as well that Tsitsipas could have just hit and got the winner comfortably, but he has to hit it at Kyrgios.
Yeah.
If you don't like the heat,
Well, then-
Tsitsipas,
and then he had-
get out of the kitchen. He just got under his
He
skin.
came out and said, oh,
He's a bully.
Kyrgios
me a
bullied
break.
me on the court. Mate, come down to Australia. You're not cut from the same cloth.
Nah, you're not.
Kyrgios
He
is
just
that.
can't
That's what-
handle
That's
that
what Nick came out and
Good
said.
Aussie sledging.
You're not a competitor. It's a competitive sport.
He just said
You're
you
not,
don't
you're
have it
not
up here.
sheltered. That's what I don't like
Yeah.
about tennis. It's like, mate, go with the times. People, there's sledging. There's players that are, I like characters in the game.
Yeah, we need
If
more
you
of them.
can't put up with a little bit of crowd noise or a player giving you a bit of lip service, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah. No, exactly. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. My silver medal goes to Latrell Mitchell.
What a comeback.
What a beast. I'm going to say it, Bernard. There isn't a more influential player for one team than Latrell Mitchell. Cameron Munster can be out. Melbourne will still win.
Mm-hmm. Jerome Hughes, yeah.
Jerome Hughes out. They can still win. Nathan Cleary can be out for Penrith. They still win. They did
Sullivan
win at the start of the
straight in.
season.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Even Tommy Turbo now. Manly have found a way to win. They won on the weekend.
They're looking good.
Latrell Mitchell, when he's out of that South team, they look like they don't belong in the top 8. When he's in that team, he makes everyone better. Cody Walker looked amazing. Damien Cook's better. Even their forward pack just looks better. There is not a more influential player for their team than Latrell Mitchell. He's back now. That whole team looks good, and they're going to make the top 8.
I think it's in terms of 2022 season, it's him, Tommy Turbo, and maybe Matt Burton as most impactful players.
You gotta get a Bulldog.
I'm
You
sorry,
just
Matt,
can't hide the
Matt
bias.
Burton's the king of Belmore, but I'm just saying he is. You could see how impactful he was for South. They just look like they play with more confidence. They're always on.
Yeah.
They're on a roll. He gets a set starting great. Like he just attracts players going out the back. People are drawn to him. He creates the opportunities for his outside back.
I'm going to double down as well. New South Wales. Latrell Mitchell is in this. It's 2-0.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
2-0.
yeah,
We're not going to
yeah.
a decider. Even New South Wales, it's a totally different looking team
If
Latrell's
Latrell
back.
plays, and he's ruled himself out
Like
of
that,
Origin,
very
which is
unselfish.
very unselfish.
And what he was saying as well, like Critter, he was speaking about Critter and Burton. He
Goes,
wants to see them
give
have
the
a go.
boys a go, but he knows he slots straight in.
Yeah.
And I think he owes it to Souths because he's been out injured, and,
Yeah.
and he obviously he wants that that premiership with South. He's chasing that. They were looking great last year, and looks like the back end of this season they're going to make a good play to be a fixture in that 8. There was question marks of whether they were going to make the 8. But now
They didn't look like
just
a top
after
8
that
side.
game against Para, how they played, they
Yeah.
didn't make many errors. They just played with a lot more confidence. So there's a big difference from a team that played St George and
Or
got
the team that
absolutely
got-
belted.
That got touched up by Canberra, and we were talking about how they have one of the worst backlines in the NRL.
So
Now
that-
all of a sudden,
to the team that played, the other day against Parramatta. And we say it time and time again with Parramatta. They can come out and beat a Penrith on their day, aim up, but it just seems like they're just too inconsistent. They can't beat teams like Souths or teams like the Cowboys. They don't show up for those games like the Bulldogs. So, I don't know. It's still question marks on Para, but it's very promising sights for Bunnies fans.
yeah, as a Roosters fan, I want to hate Latrell Mitchell, but I can't. He's too much of a freak. Good to see him back. Gold medal time.
Gold medal for me. Now, I'm not the biggest rugby fan. Club rugby puts me to sleep.
We love international rugby, though.
I'm not a subscriber of Stan Sport, nor do I know
Rip
anyone
off.
that subscribes to
Rip
Stan
off.
Sport.
You don't want to pay $20 for that.
No,
Rubbish.
but international rugby, it's back.
Love
Everyone's getting excited for the World Cup, and I tuned into the England versus Wallabies game. Loving the jersey, nice little Cadbury
I like
sponsor.
the Cadbury. It's
I
very
know,
clean.
yeah. I think they know it's good, so they're going to stick with it. And it was good to see them get a win. They hadn't beat England in their last 8 times they
Yep.
played them. They were down a man. There was 14
basically
men
the
for the
whole
Wallabies.
game.
Exactly. So to get that win 30-28, and England scored a consolation try at the end.
2 consolation
so
tries, yeah.
I thought it was a great showing for them. I don't know if they can back it up. Quade Cooper was ruled out prior to the game with a niggle in his calf. So it's good to see them playing quality rugby, and it's a great tune-up going into the World Cup.
Do you reckon, Bernard, club rugby, as you said, in terms of popularity, would be at its lowest? Is that because the Wallabies are bad? Like, I remember growing up as a kid. You remember and we missed that golden generation of late 90s, but I even remember, like, young kid, when they played England in the final and Johnny Wilkinson. The Wallabies were great. Even when they used to lose to New Zealand, they were still a very good Wallaby side. Do you think that if the Wallabies are good, it'll just improve rugby everywhere in this country?
Yeah, 100%. It's like when the Socceroos are doing well. Everyone wants to play soccer. Everyone wants to tune into the A-League.
Yeah.
The same's going to go for rugby. If you've got more international superstars playing on the world stage that are playing in under the ARU and in the Super Rugby for their Super Rugby teams, you're going to be wanting to tune in. And it just, there's more interest from corporate sponsors, more interest from actual broadcasters. So you don't have to just be on a stand sport. I can't even say I've seen rugby on in a pub. Well, no
think
one's
so.
tuning into the Super Rugby. I mean, what a crowd attendance!
Oh,
like.
it wouldn't be very high.
It's just not getting enough coverage to be up there at the moment. But like everything, comes and goes.
For sure. I'm sure the Wallabies will be good again. Let's hope it starts
What do you
now.
got for your gold medal?
I'm going Alexander the Great, Volkanovski. Put some respect on his name. He's the GOAT featherweight. Absolutely punched the shit out of Max Holloway.
He was just too slow for him.
Oh, just put a clinic on. The best performance I've ever seen in a title
And he
fight.
was letting him know. He was letting him know.
I mean, he
I'm
was
too
talking
quick for
trash
you.
early. I'm too quick for you.
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous when he did that, especially in the first round, but he was too quick for him. He's cleaned out that division. Now he's talking about going up. But
He wants to be a double
the
champ.
best performance I've seen in a title fight, just miles above the man who a lot of people were saying was the GOAT featherweight. He's now beat him 3 times, Bernard.
I think I don't know what he was saying at the end of the fight there with they were trying to bully me. Stand up for yourself. I think
he was
mate,
just saying that they don't give him the respect he deserves because
are you
he's
saying
Aussie.
the UFC because
I
us
think
Aussies
UFC
love him.
Us Aussies, but even UFC.
You got a
and-
cop getting booed in a
but
in
the
a-
American
in
media,
an
as well,
American audience.
they love Max Holloway.
Of course, he's American.
Yeah.
He's their native.
I just think the MMA community, apart from Australians, sleep on him a bit.
Yeah, fair enough. But, take that in your stride. He said, you get bullied, stand up for yourself. I can take that message on board. An inspiration, as in don't get all poetic on us, mate. You are one of the greatest featherweights. I want to see him go up to get that double champ status. That'd be
tough
unbelievable.
fight.
And
Yeah, tough
definitely
fight.
that'll solidify him as a UFC Hall of Famer.
Bring a fight to Australia. I want to see him fight down under.
He'd sell out.
Oh, for sure.
He'd sell out.
For
But
sure.
stack the card.
Stack the
the
card up.
Bring it down to Marvel.
You know what? Get Izzy versus Pereira, and then have Volko.
They got a little bromance going on too.
They do.
him
They
and,
train out of the same gym, and then
Adesanya.
have Volko versus Charles Oliveira. Woo!
I'd
That'd
watch
be
it.
Stupid. But yeah, put some respect on Volkanovski's name. Participation time.
Participation for me, now I was tossing up.
Go.
I didn't know whether to go West Tigers
Ooh.
when we've been bashing them all season, at least the start of the season, or Tommy Fury. So I'm gonna opine on both. Now, Tommy Fury has been ducking Jake Paul like he's scared shitless.
Can we just address the elephant in the room? I don't think he wants that smoke.
At all.
I think he's too scared about the embarrassment.
It's gone from, yes, everything's locked in, August 6th, Madison Square Garden, Jake Paul, contract's been signed, he's having a bet with, Tyson Fury, they're having $1 million bet. Now, all of a sudden, he can't get past Heathrow Airport because he's ESTA. He doesn't have an ESTA to travel.
That's the first thing
he's having some visa issues. Now, Jake Paul's come out and said, listen, mate, you've got till Wednesday to sort out your visa or I'm going on to another fighter. Do you want this bag or not? Because how do you keep fumbling it? I just think he doesn't want it. He's a Love Island boy. I don't think he can scrap in the ring like everyone thinks he can.
I think he's just scared to lose because
if you lose to Jake Paul's career over.
Your career's over.
Yeah.
There's no chance you're becoming a professional boxer. And he's maybe just seen a couple of Jake Paul's fights going, this guy can actually throw them. I'm not going to just have a walk in the park. You know what? I've stopped. I said after his last fight, I'm going to stop doubting Jake Paul. If they fight, which I don't think they will, Jake Paul beats him.
I think they're going to fight. I think it's just a lot of media.
And then he'll have to change his name because I think Tyson will just disown him from the Fury family.
But he knew going into this fight that his dad's not allowed in the US.
He's
Tommy
fought in
Fury.
the US before and his dad
come without
go.
your team. Let Jake not have a team in his corner. People want to see it. You've G'd it up this much. Just
Bernard,
get down there. Sort your visa out.
Want that smoke. He doesn't want to lose.
And then alternatively, you got the West Tigers.
Do we need to really say much about
I'm not going to say a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel for him. Dewey's there. He's trying as hard as
we
he
feel
can.
for Adam Dewey. We both love him.
Brooksy's, obviously he needs a change of pace. He needs a change of scenery.
He does.
They couldn't score a point in that second half.
Against the Warriors.
Against the Warriors who have been terrible throughout the season. Yes, they showed out for their hometown crowd. It was great to see a packed out Mount Smart.
Too, don't you?
But, mate, terrible showing. And I feel sorry for Brett Kamali because he's got his hands full. I don't think a coach wants to go to the West Tigers. So they're just a mess at the moment. They get my participation too.
Yeah, that's fair. My participation is going to Jarryd Sutton. The game, I don't like ref bashing too much. I just got to speak about.
If they're terrible, bash
I've just got to bash one decision, and what I will say is he had a shocker all game. I'm not saying that's why the Roosters lost, but Jarryd Sutton's performance against the Roosters was shocking. None worse than, I don't know if you saw, Sorensen's taking a run at Sam Verrills. He's sitting on the floor. He's got his ass on the ground, and Sorensen goes over the top of him, and they get Verrills for a dangerous tackle.
Just because of momentum and how he landed on his head, that is irrelevant.
How is
He's
that
done
dangerous?
a
He's on the
textbook
floor.
tackle of what you're taught as a junior rugby league player. They can't run without their legs, boys. He's gone. He's sitting on the floor, takes out his legs, completely clean. And I don't know if there's a new charge. There's a dangerous tackle charge, but it happened again over the weekend. It wasn't separate to
there was
the Roosters game on the back end on a Sunday, mate. We're playing rugby league. There's going to be collisions.
It's getting out of control, Bernard.
Keep the whistle in your pocket in those instances. If there's contact with the head, fine. We're happy with that. Concussion, whatever. But normal tackles now.
Can we use just common sense? Even those ones where you see like Cleary's against Ponga in Origin. That's a great tackle.
Yeah.
How many tackles you made in your life, Bernard? You played dummy half. You hit them up high, you bounce off the ball
and all.
Get a little bit of the head. It happens. You're never going to go through a rugby league game playing 80 minutes without getting your head hit at least once.
I agree. And
now these dangerous tackles, it's getting out of control.
I think you're right.
That is
in
the worst
him
call.
On your participation
That is
list.
the worst call I've ever seen.
And Robinson could have sprayed in that post-match conference. He was filthy. Ricky Stewart had some to say as well after that. Ben Hunt not square at marker call. There's been a few dodgy calls. And I think it's because they're not scared to lean on the bunker a fair bit.
Yeah.
And they just feel like they're firm
But
by
it's
it.
the same
But where
thing
it hurts is when teams don't have their challenges and they make calls like that, it's very rough. And I feel for the Roosters in that respect. I mean, Buzz Rothfield, we don't like him, but he's come out and said he needs to come out and say, give a public
and
apology
say that
to
was
the
a
Roosters.
shocker.
And it was. I think Annesley will come out and say that was a bad call.
Yeah. I don't want to see I don't want to see Annesley do it though. Give me the ref.
Yeah.
Player makes a mistake or a coach or something like that, he has to apologise.
Put out a public tweet.
I don't want the referee's boss to do it for him.
Yeah.
You come out and apologise and then we forget about it. On the topic though of the West Tigers, it got me thinking. They've made some shocking signings in the last 10 years.
To say the least.
To say the very least.
And just letting go of players.
Letting go of players, they've had a stinker last 10 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
So it got me thinking, Bernard, and we got to add a bit of context to this because you could pick so many, but what are the top 5 worst buys in NRL history?
Okay, off the bat, number 5, I'm going to go with Aaron Woods. Aaron Woods, a Tiger.
To the Bulldogs.
Went to the Bulldogs on 800,000, somewhere around that ballpark. Did not perform at the standard of been a Dally M forward of the year.
Kangaroos forward.
Kangaroos forward. The Bulldogs got absolutely nothing out of him. They moved him on quicker than anybody. Went to Cronulla, and now he's wandering off at St George. Is he one of the most overrated forwards at the moment? I would say so. But one of the characters of the game, but worst signing for me.
You said it. As a saving grace for him, he's very good on radio. I've listened to him a few times. My number 4, Chris Sandow to the Parramatta Eels. This one hurt because he was signed. He was meant to be their next big half. He was on good money, around $550K a year. It was a disaster for him. Off-field issues. He even had Peter Sterling, the GOAT, come out and say he's a little bit overweight. Just did not work out for him at all. He was not the answer for Parramatta.
Would Sterling get done for fat shaming nowadays?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. He just said he was unfit.
Yeah.
Not good
He
enough.
had his off-field dramas. I think.
Yeah, just betting problems, which we
Yeah.
feel bad for, but that was a disaster for Para.
Definitely a bad signing. I'm going to go 3. Tony Williams again.
Bulldogs have had a
to
few.
my Bulldogs. I think their recruitment in the last 5 years pre-Gus has been very shocking. But Tony Williams, I mean, to the level that he was performing at Manly, to come to the Bulldogs, I think he performed, at Origin level as well. But he just did not deliver for the Bulldogs. And I think he was wandering off in New South Wales Cup. Never reclaimed that form he had at Manly. But he was one of Des Hasler's favourite players to get on, and just never performed at the Dogs.
You can't do a worse buys without having the without having the Warriors. Sorry. So number 2, I picked this one out. Sam Tonkins, when he signed for the Warriors, he came over from Wigan
As a man of steel.
as a man of steel. He'd won
Yeah.
premierships over there. What I didn't know, I just found out. They signed him for a world record $1.5 million transfer fee. I didn't know they did that in the NRL. But they
1.5 mil.
1.5 mil. He would have been on a packet of money as well. We've seen forwards come over from England and do well. I don't know what it is. Backs, they don't seem to do as well. He had a shocker. He only played a couple seasons. He was complaining that he was homesick, and then they shipped him off back to the UK. Disaster
Shocker
for the Warriors.
Number 1, and again, as a Bulldogs fan, this hurts. As someone that did it on the biggest stage at State of Origin and broke the streak, Josh Reynolds.
We'll always love Grub, but
Signing to the Tigers at $900,000 plus a season. Did not deliver for the Tigers. Didn't play enough games. He was essentially a $900,000 New South Wales Cup player. And to be fair, I wouldn't want to move on either. If I'm getting $900,000
a Resi we can all aspire to be.
to play New South Wales Cup, I will. And he's doing the same in England, where I don't think he's lived up to his end of the bargain on big money in England. He's kind of, just wandering over there. Will he be back in the NRL? I don't think so, but that $900,000 to play at the Tigers got to be one of the worst buys in West Tigers history.
That's just got to sum up the West Tigers in a
Yeah.
nutshell. I think they want to talk. Why have they not made the finals in the last 10 years? It's cap management like that. But the streets will never forget Josh Reynolds, what he did for New South Wales.
No,
Ending
never.
the streak.
No,
He'll
but
always be.
and he'll go down as a Bulldogs legend.
That wraps up the starters. And as always, if you're watching us on TikTok, don't roast us until you listen to the full podcast.
Yeah, listen to those honourable mentions. Don't give us a spray.
Yeah. Don't give us a spray unless you've watched the full thing. You can't bag out a movie if you've only seen clips on YouTube. Time for the HIA now, Bernard. What have you seen that you like?
Mate, what I disliked
Go.
was the conditions
Ooh.
at Combank Stadium for that Bulldogs-Sharks game.
It was a slip and slide.
This is supposed to be one of the premier stadiums in Sydney, at least in New South Wales. Probably should have been an enclosed arena when they look back at it and on the build.
Do they have
It's
any
a
of
great place to watch the footy, but there was puddles everywhere. It looked like, something you'd see on the news for a flood zone, because the players were sliding everywhere. The ball
Dummy halves are there standing waiting for the ball, and the water's at their ankle.
It was tough to watch. It was tough to see, the field in that type of state. But for an NRL ground, you got to be like, it's just not up to standard.
I don't know too much about drainage, but I don't know if that.
I'm no plumber.
I'm no plumber,
but
and I'm no groundskeeper.
Combank Stadium, sort your shit out.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who needs to get roasted for that, or if that could have been prevented. All right, Bernard. It's time now. South put the NRL on notice that they're a different team with Latrell Mitchell in the team.
Yep.
And St George, they got an ugly win against Canberra. My Roosters lost again. Even Manly got a big win. Bernard, you've played Lego.
Mm-hmm.
4 doesn't go into 2.
No.
So a couple of big teams got to miss out here.
Yeah. I already started. Who misses
I think,
out?
do
Who
we
misses
agree
out
that
on
the
top
Do
eight?
we agree that the top 6 is locked up? Penrith, Melbourne, North Queensland, the Sharks, Brisbane, and Para. Are they all making the top 8?
Yeah, they're all
I think
top
they are
8
too.
fixtures.
So you've now got South Sydney in 7th, the Dragons in 8th, Manly in 9th, the Roosters in 10th, and I'm going to chuck these guys in. They're on the same points as my Roosters. Canberra in 11th.
after that loss.
5
on
doesn't go
Sunday,
into
that's
2.
rough. Look,
Who makes it? Who misses out?
just based on sides, previous form, Trent Robinson being Trent Robinson,
Chooks are making it.
I want to say the Roosters are going to make it. They've had one of the hardest draws this season. They've consistently versed teams at the top of the table, and they've had riddled with injuries. Kyrgios having headaches from concussions. They don't have a lot of depth either. Radley just made a comeback. So I want to say a full-strength Roosters
I think so
is
too.
making the 8. South, after that performance with Latrell, I want to say that they're there too. But that means teams like the Dragons
I think the Dragons are
and
dropping out.
Canberra are missing out.
Yeah, and Manly. Manly as well. I think no turbo will hurt them at the back of the season. But
It
I think-
depends on their run going into the finals. It's who has a tougher run. Who do you see? It's going to come down to, I think, South or Manly being that 8th position. Because I like to say Roosters, just based on their performance against Penrith, they will go on to make the 8. I think they're going to be a 7th or 8th.
I think so too.
It's out of Manly and probably the Dragons.
Yeah, I think we both agree.
Who makes the 8?
Roosters and Souths slide in.
Roosters and
Yeah.
Souths?
Dragons drop off. Big one for the Chalks. They play St George after the bye. That'll be one of those little. That's a 4-pointer.
Yeah, I've got to go the Roosters.
Yeah,
I've got
that's
to
a
take
big
the
game.
Roosters. So we're going to agree. Roosters and
Souths and Roosters
Souths
sliding.
sliding.
Yeah. I like that. There was one kid I felt really bad for.
This was rough.
Dylan Casey.
Yeah. Is this the worst debut of all time? Now, he had one carry. Makes an error. Kid,
That's okay. It happens.
cop it on the chin.
Yep.
It's your debut.
You know
Don't
what?
worry. We'll defend one set.
Shooters keep shooting. You rip
Yeah.
back in there. You go and take another hitter.
Another carry. Drop ball.
Dog's breakfast of conditions, Bernard.
I think
you can
he had-
excuse it. You know, it's
In
tough.
the conditions.
Tried to pay it too quickly. He's a little bit
And the boys
agitated.
come in. Take
okay,
my head,
it's
mate.
okay.
It's all right. Don't worry. We'll defend again. I think he had 4 or 5 carries where he dropped the ball.
He did. I felt so bad.
And now the conditions, like you said, they don't call for it, but that is rough. He was just trying to build his confidence up, drop the ball, and then cherry on top of that, he goes to make a tackle
Oh, no.
and gets absolutely knocked out cold. He is stretched off the field. I think it goes down as one of the worst debuts of all time. Now, this should not be what he's going to be going
course
forward
not.
as a player. It won't be
It won't
you know,
define his career.
It won't define his careers, but that is, I feel sorry for him, was one of the worst debuts I've seen. And, I mean, it's up there with Justin Hodges playing Origin, who went, his Queensland debut was absolutely shocking. Ronaldo Mulatalo, if you remember, had a terrible debut, dropped a lot of balls, but, mate, to get...
He'll be back.
He tried it. He was first man in on Fafita. Got absolutely knocked out cold. I was surprised to see him stand up in the dressing room. Maybe he was okay and just thought, you know what, this is my way out. I can get off the field here with a head knock. I'm having an absolute shock. At least I can bow out.
Call
like
it
this.
a day.
Yeah.
Call it a day.
I don't know, but tough for the kid. I hope he's back.
I felt
It'll be
bad
good to see him
watching
in
that.
some dry conditions and
Yeah.
get some runs on the board.
I'm sure he'll be back better than
Yeah.
ever. That was really bad. I felt for him. And in other news, huge news for anyone following, our little tipping head-to-head that we've been having.
Yes,
You were 3 tips ahead. If you pull 4 clear, it's over. I probably would have conceded.
but you took
But
Newcastle
I took Newcastle.
against the Gold Coast with no Ponga. Ballsy.
Huge.
They're breaking down that game. Now,
Did they look better without Kalen Ponga?
Mate, I don't know that. Is it because the Gold Coast are just that poor of a defensive team?
Maybe.
But Edric Lee going over for 5 tries. Can I say I took the overs on that game?
Great bet. Moral.
But mate, Tex Hoy, can you kick a bloody goal? If Edric Lee's scoring 5 tries, I should have had the overs done by half time. What he was like 1 from 6. They had to put Milford in there to start kicking. Now, I don't know. Newcastle have been terrible. It was a battle of the 2 coaches that are on the chopping board.
Yeah.
Newcastle got the win. Holbrook's come out this week and said, look, the Gold Coast have confidence in me. I'm the man going forward to coach this team. Mate, if they can't start performing the back end of this season and into next season, I don't know who they're recruiting.
I think Holbrook will be okay. He has big raps on him, and he did well. He took this team to the top 8. Let's be honest, Bernard, it's the Gold Coast Titans.
Yeah. Well, he literally has next season and the first 8 rounds to say,
They
I'm
need
the
to find
coach here.
out. They need to get a half. Kieran Foran's going there.
Yeah.
Good signing.
And then in terms of signing news, Cameron Munster's come out and said, I am affirming that I'll be at the Melbourne Storm next year. So
How are
that's
they going to
huge
fit all
news.
of them under?
I don't know.
They got the salary sombrero.
Because they're giving money to Jerome Hughes. They're giving money to Pappenhausen. It's going to be tough. Wayne Bennett came out and said, look, if we don't get Munster for next year at the Dolphins, the 23 season, we're going to get him at 24. Wayne Bennett sounds very confident they're going to land their man. So, I don't know. It's maybe Melbourne are going to have him next year and they're going to have to start blooding a new 6? Or could they start looking at maybe a Luke Brooks or someone that's in that, borderline top 10 halves to come over to the Melbourne Storm?
Speaking of the Dolphins, looking at their best possible starting team for 2023.
This isn't needed because they're playing next year.
Yeah.
They are. It's going to come quicker than people think.
Exactly.
Who is the best 17 the Dolphins can put on the park?
Look at this team, Bernard. This is from Zero Tackle. They don't have a fullback.
There's no fullback at the
No
moment.
fullback at the moment. On the wings, Jermaine Asako was on the receiving end of 5 tries from Edric Lee and Edric Lee. Okay. Not bad. Branko Lee and Robert Jennings are your centers.
Branko Lee, premiership winning centre.
Origin center, but all right, you got Katoa and Sean O'Sullivan from the Penrith Panthers. Then you've got Jesse Bromwich and the GOAT Mark Nichols are your props.
Sean O'Sullivan signed to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
That's a great
It's a
sign.
nice little. So, well, you got it off
like
the back of
that.
that little 3-game
Yeah.
stretch that he had. Jeremy Marshall King.
I like that signing.
Is
He's
the
been
nice.
playing his best footy all season.
Felice
this season.
Kafusi, Kenny Bromwich, and Ray Stone coming off an ACL are their back row. Bernard, that team would not win the New South Wales Cup.
I'm saying at least they have the experience in there and they're looking like they're getting some up-and-coming players.
You need to start
But-
with a bang,
but
though.
mate,
You're
I
a
know,
new
I agree.
team.
And then think about depth. You've already said people are coming off their ACLs. And, already no fullback. What if outside backs goes
I'm
down?
looking at this bench.
I don't think they have a lot to get from out in
Tom
Redfield.
Gilbert. Well, this is saying that Tom Gilbert would be on the bench. He wouldn't now. He's about to play for Queensland. Gilbert, Jared Wallace, Ewan Aitken.
I'm telling you, they're going to struggle next year. If a team like the Sydney Roosters is struggling with no depth, what are they going to be next year? And they're a fixture at Magic Round next year, so the team's going to have to miss out at Magic Round. I'm telling you, I don't see that team going anywhere near the 8. I see them 12 plus. I see them, 14th, 15th.
That spine, they'll be lucky to miss the spoon. That team sucks.
And Wayne Bennett's got his work cut out for him.
If Wayne Bennett got that team into the top 8, it's his greatest coaching achievement. We've seen him
I
do
agree.
well with an average team. He took the worst ever Queensland team and won with them. But
Is this the drawback of expanding? Because they've
Maybe-
only given them a fixed period, a short amount of time to say, let's build a team. No one wants to go there.
no one wants to go there. Bernard, we've said it before. There's not enough talent at the moment for the current amount of teams. You're going to expand it. It just throws everything out of whack. We're going to have bye rounds again. No one wants that. There's not enough talent. I honestly think they could shave 2 teams off the NRL right now, and that'd be a nice number. We don't need to be expanding. And then they want to add another team. It would be good. Bernard, you shouldn't have quit NRL because you get one of these teams.
I might have to
make a comeback, and you'll get in for the 18th team.
It's a fair point. I don't see how they're going to go next year, just based on the signings, unless they make big off-season plays. Because
They're saying that they're going to go hard for 2024, but even when the Titans came in, they had Luke Bailey, Scott Prince, Preston Campbell. They started with a bang. They were good for their first 4
at
or
least
5
the
years.
NBA, gives some lottery picks to the
Yeah.
struggling teams.
You need
Yeah,
one
you need-
player
I
that, you,
think you
bou-
might
that you
need-
build your team around.
Y-
Who are you building that team around? Jeremy Marshall King. He's been good this year, but come on.
If you're going to have expansion, you're going to need some subsidies from the NRL because, like I said, if you're a half, you don't want to go to a foundation team that's going to be struggling. Like Matt Burton, yes, he's free to negotiate at the end of this season, but do you want to go to a Dolphins?
I don't think so.
No, you're already at
I don't think so.
at a building team already. Do you want to go to one that's even in a worse position? No. So they're going to struggle. It's going to be a tough 2023 for the Dolphins. And yet, not that we're saying you heard it here first, but I'm saying you've heard it here. They're going to be struggling.
They are going to be struggling big time. Where are they playing at Suncorp as well?
No, we'll be playing games at Suncorp and that Queensland Stadium.
So they are playing at the Queensland Stadium. Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause then
yeah.
what's the point of having 2 Brisbane teams? Especially the Broncos. They love it up there.
Yeah.
You can't split that fan base. They're going to be all Brisbane.
Well, everyone said what about a Perth team? People in Perth don't want a
They
rugby
don't
league team.
care.
They don't care about rugby league. They call it rugby.
They don't care. Like Andrew Johns went there in his prime. No one knew who he was. The
Yeah.
8th. They don't care. They don't care about it in Adelaide. Sometimes you just got to consolidate what you have, Bernard.
Okay, what about this one? Matt Burton off contract. He's come out and said, his manager came out and said, okay, he was coming to the Bulldogs under the guise that he was getting coached by Trent Barrett. He is free to negotiate with other clubs at November 2022. That's this year. He's committed to the Bulldogs next year. Is he gone? Would you stay? You're in Matt Burton's shoes. Do you want to stay at the Bulldogs?
What are my options?
You got Dolphins giving you
Oh,
good
I'm
money.
staying at the Bulldogs.
You got teams like Penrith saying, their CEO saying, maybe
you don't go back to it. Once you don't go back to an
always come back.
ex-girlfriend. Once you've been dumped, it never works. It's relationship advice from me. You've been dumped once, you don't go back.
But just teams with big money. If Kyrgios goes out, retirement. He's retired from head knocks. The Roosters have cap money and say,
We give you a nice
we will
little
set you up for life.
900 right
You
here.
are playing with quality players in Bondi.
That would entice me.
I am worried that he doesn't stay at the Bulldogs.
If I'm a Dogs fan, I'd be very worried. Especially because his value after Origin is just going to go up.
Marnie coming and Kikau and Pangai Jr. playing well.
But he might just go, I don't want to wait around. I want to, A, get paid, and B, I want to be winning.
How do you
Get him at the Chooks.
As a Roosters fan,
Good
how do you
luck.
feel about Kiri? Do you see him coming back? Do you see?
I think he'll come back one more time, but I mean, head knocks, man, they're scary. If he's getting headaches, and he's had a lot of concussions, if he keeps getting concussed,
he's an intelligent bloke off the field,
He
so
is.
he's not one to just throw himself into a game. Like, I'm sure he wants to be out there, but it'd be rough.
He's had a great career. He's won comps at 2 different teams. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chooks try and do a little medically retired and then bang, go for someone
That'd
big.
free up some space.
Oof.
and
I think it frees up a mil
that'd
at least.
that'd make the Roosters very.
You just
worried.
see the Roosters
because they've already got
late
Brandon,
run for Cam
They've
Munster.
already got Brandon Smith coming next year.
Bring the boys over. That'd be scary. Yeah.
Imagine you have Munster and Cheese in the Roosters colours.
Munster, Cheese, Tedesco,
with
and
Cooper
Walker.
Cronk just mentoring them.
That's
That's just dangerous.
That gets me excited. That gets me very excited. Long shot time, Bernard.
My long shot for this week, I know we'll probably touch on it in next week's episode going into State of Origin, but I'm going to take
You're going early.
Novak Djokovic to win this Grand Slam.
It's very
It's
short.
do or die for him because he can't go to the US. They're still not letting him in. So Novak has to win this. I'm going to go Novak into New South Wales 1-12, into James Tedesco man of the match. He's going to be paying about $7.50 to be man of the match. Novak's about $1.70 to win. 1-12 is about $3. You're looking at about $15+. That's my long shot. And when that is all done, we're going to clip that up. And that's why you should be betting with the B team. And that's our tip.
Speaking of betting with the B team, I handed out Uns Jabeur last week.
I like
and she's
that.
now, after Swiatek got knocked out, she's now coming to favourite. So if you got on that bet,
You're laughing.
you're laughing.
The
now
women's
'cause she's
tennis is
almost-
anyone's game.
it's
Post
anyone's
Ash
game.
Barty.
There's value all over. I'm now going to give you some value on the men's side of Wimbledon. I'm going to go Rafa Nadal. Now, we filmed this before. He's around to 16 games, so if he's lost, just disregard this completely. But he's on the opposite side to Novak, so really, he should get to the final.
Open
and then it's
lane.
just down to one game.
Yeah.
It's paying $5.50, Bernard. You get a little lobster, which is a $20 note for anyone that doesn't know. You put that on Rafa Nadal. Why not? Carrying a bit of an injury, don't listen to that. He's always carrying an injury, and he always just digs deep and gets it done. He's
on
the GOAT.
grass. I don't know.
And he'll be versing Novak, who he's already beaten. And if he pulls 3 clear, Bernard, 3
That's it.
Grand Slam
The
clear,
discussion's over.
no one is catching him. So
Yeah.
$5.50, it's worth just a little dirty lobster that you pull out, slap that on him. And as always, guys, remember to gamble responsibly and always gamble with the B team as well. Anything on this weekend, Bernard?
Mate, I am going to prep for heading to Brisbane. I'm going to be
Oh,
going
you're going for Origin.
to State of Origin for the decider.
Huge.
I'm going to be doing some fan interviews. I'm going to be out the front. I'm going to be filming some content in Brisbane. First time in Brisbane. First time watching a game at Suncorp. What a game to do
That'd
it.
be good.
I am...
Fan interviews?
Oh, they'll be there. They'll be there.
You
There'll
down
be
at the
plenty
Caxton?
some. I'll be
Love
at the Caxton. I'll be going out. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy Brisbane, Vegas. Hopefully the weather is turning the corner. We're going through it with the floods here.
Yeah, we are.
And they copped a bit of a rain bomb out in Brisbane. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be prepping towards. I'll probably catch a game or two out in Sydney heading in. But mate, looking forward to it. What do you got planned?
Quiet one for me this weekend. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it chill. This weather, hopefully it goes away. But I think I've been sick like 3 or 4 times. Apologies for the sniffles if anyone's had to
Mate,
listen to that
I
on
think
their
I've been
drive to
sick
work.
every month. It must just be a thing going on.
I don't know what it is. And look, I've had COVID and I've been sick, and this is way worse. But keep an eye out for Bernard if you're down at the Caxton. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing
Brisbane,
that.
I'm coming.
As always, guys, remember to follow Instagram, Facebook, the B Team Podcast, and give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen to. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We don't discriminate here. And hey, you're a sponsor, you got money, we'll take it. Hit us up, B Team. Even if it's Saudi Arabian money, we don't care where it
And
comes from.
Some quality guests lined up for future.
Yeah, we've got some
episodes.
stuff in the works.
Keep an eye out, but that is all from us. Make sure you catch us, follow us on Spotify and Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe. The B Team. Take it easy.
Have a great week. Let's go.